Okay, so for exercise chapter 1, so let's close chapter 1. We did that already. Chapter 2, go all the way down to exercise, and here it is. Okay, so let's do a few, maybe 2-3 problems on this. Exercise 2.1, chapter 2, exercise 1. Harris Fabrics computes its plant-wide predetermined overhead rate annually on the basis of direct labor hours. So direct labor hours is the cost driver. And we calculate the predetermined rate for the overhead based on that specific cost driver. Every company is different. They choose something as a cost driver. So this company chose to have direct labor hours, not dollars, not machine hours, but direct labor hours as the cost driver. At the beginning of the year, it estimated that 20,000 direct labor hours would be required for the period estimated level of production. So this is very important to estimate how many direct labor hours next year they will need to satisfy the production. It has to be estimated. The company also estimated $94,000 of fixed manufacturing overhead costs for the coming period and variable manufacturing overhead of $2 per direct labor hour. Harris' actual manufacturing overhead cost for the year was $123,900. That's after the fact, 12 months later. And its actual total direct labor was 21,000 hours. Okay, so what do we do? Compute the company's plant-wide overhead, predetermined overhead rate for the year. So we're going to use the estimated direct labor hours and estimated fixed cost manufacturing overhead plus the $2 variable per direct labor hour. Okay, I have the answer somewhere here for you. So the estimated total manufacturing overhead cost is computed as follows. Y, which is total cost, equals to fixed cost plus variable cost times number of activities. Y equals ABX. If you remember your algebra course that you took, hopefully already by now, that's where the Y is. Y is the total cost, fixed cost, which is equals to fixed cost, which is always fixed, never changes, but plus variable cost per unit times number of activities. So we calculate Y, total cost, as fixed cost 94,000 plus variable cost is $2 per direct labor hour times 20,000 direct labor hours, number of activity estimated. So the Y ends up to be $134,000. Okay, $134,000. The plant-wide predetermined overhead rate is computed as estimated total manufacturing overhead, right? That's estimated total cost. Estimated total direct labor hours is 20,000. So the predetermined overhead rate is $6.70 per direct labor hours. So first we calculate the estimated total manufacturing overhead cost. Then using that divided by cost driver of direct labor hours. Now we know that to add the manufacturing overhead to the cost of production, we need $6.70 for every direct labor hour. So what is the cost of production? Cost of production is direct labor, direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Direct material and direct labor, we know already how much we put for every product, but manufacturing overhead is going to be applied based on the cost driver, in this case, direct labor hours. So we're going to apply $6.70 per direct labor hour to calculate the total product cost, which is direct material plus direct labor plus manufacturing overhead. Okay, let's go to problem number 2. And number 2 says the company uses a plant-wide predetermined overhead rate of $23.40 per direct labor hour. This predetermined rate was based on cost formula that estimated $257,400 of total manufacturing overhead costs for an estimated activity level of 11,000 direct labor hours. The company's incurred actual total manufacturing overhead cost was $249,000 and $10,800 the total direct labor hours during the period. Required, determine the amount of manufacturing overhead cost that would have been applied to all jobs during the period. Okay, so here is the answer. Actual direct labor hours was 10,800, and predetermined overhead rate that we have calculated already. In this case, it's given to us. It's $23.40. So manufacturing overhead that has been applied to the cost of production would be $252,720. That's what has been already applied, $252,720. So if you read the question, it says the actual cost was $249,000, the actual. And here you see we applied 252. So we applied a little bit more than 249. So the $3,720, that means 252 minus 249, $3,720. That has been over applied. That over application of manufacturing overhead or under application of manufacturing overhead, that's fine because we always estimate. So it's going to be a little bit this way or the other. That over application of manufacturing overhead or under application will be closed into the cost of goods sold if it's not a material number in general. So if the material is not a material number, it's not a big number, it will be easily that over applied or under applied manufacturing overhead will be closed into cost of goods. Let's do number 3. So in number 3, it says compute computing total job cost. Okay, so it says company plant-wide predetermined overhead rate is $14 per direct labor hour. That's plant-wide predetermined overhead rate. And its direct labor wage rate is $17 per hour. The following information pertains to job A500. Direct materials, $231. Direct labor, $153. What is the total manufacturing cost assigned to job A500? If the job A500 consists of 40 units, what is the unit product cost? Okay, so direct labor cost is given to us, 153, right? And we know it's $17 per direct labor hour. That's the rate. So we know now that 9 hours of labor has been consumed. Okay, so direct materials are $231. Direct labor is $153. We need to do the last thing, which is application of manufacturing overhead to this cost. So manufacturing overhead applied is $14 per direct labor hour times 9 direct labor hours that we just calculated in here, and that gives us $126 overhead. So material, $231, labor, $153, overhead, $126. Combined, $510 total manufacturing cost. And if we produced 40 units in this production, then unit product cost is $12.75. Cool. Okay, let's do one more problem. Number 4. Company has 2 manufacturing departments, assembly and testing. The predetermined overhead rate in assembly and testing and packaging are $16 per direct labor hour and $12 per direct labor hour respectively. So $16 in assembly and $12 in testing and packaging per direct labor hour. The company's direct labor wage rate is $20 per hour. The following information pertains to job number N60. Direct material for assembly, $340. Direct material for packaging, $25. Direct labor for assembly, $180. For packaging, $40. What is the total manufacturing cost assigned to job N60? If job N60 consists of 10 units, what is the unit product cost for this job? So direct labor cost is $180 for labor. And we know that labor cost is $20 per hour. So we use 9 hours for assembly and we use 2 hours for packaging, direct labor hours. 9 hours for assembly, 2 hours for packaging. Okay, now we can continue. Direct materials for assembly is $340, for packaging is $25. That's $365. Direct labor for assembly is $180, for packaging is $40, that's $220. Assembly department is $16 per direct labor hours predetermined rate for that department, times 9 hours of direct labor hours, that's $144. So we know already how to calculate that $16, but now it's given to us. Just to remind you how we calculate this predetermined rate is this. Predetermined rate for any department or the whole factory equals to estimated next period total manufacturing cost for that department divided by estimated cost driver, like direct labor hours, let's say. And then you get the predetermined rate. Remember, these are just estimated. So based on that estimation, we know, let's say in assembly, it's $16 per direct labor hours. And for packaging, it's $12 per direct labor hours. So we calculate that, that's $144 for manufacturing overhead for assembly, and $24 for packaging. Add them up, that's $168 total overhead. So $365 direct material, $220 direct labor, $168 overhead. Combined manufacturing cost is $753 divided by 10 units of production, and that gives us $75.30 per unit product cost. Per unit cost is $75.30. Are we good? Okay, so you have maybe 2 more problems, I think, probably, and you take care of the rest yourself, okay? If you have any questions, please email me, or also you can use office hours if you like. Have a wonderful week. See you next week to cover chapter 3.